Hey there, music maker. In this video, we're going to be talking about the major scale and specifically a pattern that I like to use to play some trickier triplet passages and things like that. 3 fingers to a string major scale. You may have heard this before. A lot of my metal playing guitar friends like to use this one for triplet runs and really fast melodic passages that ascend the neck really quickly. And this pattern kind of breaks with traditional pedagogy or learning techniques for the major scale. A lot of you may be familiar with like the caged system and those kind of scale positions. And I like to think of this major scale as one that kind of doesn't really fit into those traditional ways of teaching major scale patterns on the guitar, but rather kind of connects and floats over a lot of those positions. Like I said, this one's really good for playing fast triplet licks and really working on your left hand dexterity because it requires a lot of stretching in the left hand. Before we go ahead and dive into learning that 3 finger to a string major scale pattern though, if you haven't had a chance, hit that subscribe button below and the bell notification button. That way you'll get notified whenever we upload a video here to the channel. Also, if you're interested in things like PDFs of the tab and sheet music for all of our exercises, backing tracks, and access to our community of learners just like you, click that link below in the description to the Mandolin Secrets Guitar Club. That's kind of my premium membership service that gives you all of those extra goodies to help, kind of increase your likelihood for success on these YouTube videos. So go ahead and check that link out, okay? So 3 fingers to a string major scale. The title kind of explains it all there, doesn't it, folks? We're going to be playing exclusively 3 fingers on a string and then shifting to a new string in order to play this major scale pattern. This is probably a little different, like I said, than those caged patterns you're familiar with, but I think it's really good to improve your left hand dexterity and set you up to play some of those fancy triplet licks that I know we all want to get down here on the guitar. So today we're just simply going to be covering the G major scale, starting on the 3rd fret, that low G note on our E string, and then taking it all the way up to the high G, that's the 8th fret on our B string. So buckle up, let's go ahead and dive in and learn this one, okay? So we're going to need our index finger on that first note there, the G. And like I said, 3 fingers to a string. If you saw my lesson on the major scale here, you'll know that we're going up a whole step for that first note and then another whole step. So those are the 2 pitches we're going to cover on the low E string. So starting point is G, then we're going to go up a whole step and then up another whole step. And you can already see why I'm saying this one's going to improve our left hand dexterity. Look at that stretch in our left hand. If that's a little uncomfortable for you, I would suggest kind of rolling your wrist forward, and you'll see my thumb is kind of like a little on the bottom half of the back of the neck. I find for these stretches that happen on lower strings, you have to kind of curve things forward. That's a bit of an exaggeration. But curve your hand forward so you can kind of reach and access all of those notes. So if you're having trouble getting that note, just kind of spend some time with it, do a little stretch in your left hand, fingers maybe, and rock that wrist forward. So first 3 notes, 3, 5, 7, the fret numbers on our low E. Then we're going to go up a half step in our major scale to that C note, 3rd fret of our A string. And it's the same pattern on that string too, 3, 5, 7. To get the next 3 pitches, we'll go up another whole step to get that F sharp on our D. And we've completed the octave right there, but we're going to do 2 octaves here today, okay? So there's your G note that we're starting on for the 2nd octave of the scale. Then we're going to hit 7th fret on our D. Then move up to your G string, and it's going to be 4, 5, 7 there. And then we do kind of a mini position shift because of that danged B string. Who decided to tune this thing in 4ths plus a major 3rd in the middle of it, right? So your index finger is going to shift up a fret and then go up to the next string, the B. So we've got 5, 7, 8, and then we've completed the scale. So let's take it back down. It's going to be 8, 7, 5, switch strings, 7, 5, 4, 7, 5, 4, 7, 5, 3, 7, 5, 3. So one more time real quick, I'm going to play it fluidly in eighth notes up and then back down. A 1, 2, ready, go. So there's your 3-finger to a string G major scale pattern. If you're an intermediate or advanced player, this is probably seeming pretty basic to you right now, even if you are unfamiliar with this specific fingering of the major scale. So my challenge to you is to grab the circle of fifths, one of my favorite musical tools, and work yourself counterclockwise, backwards through the circle of fifths, and try to play this major scale pattern in all 12 keys. I typically do this as a warm-up each day before I start to practice, so I think it'll be a good one for, like I said, my intermediate and advanced players out there. Also, if you're wondering, why do I need to break from my caged shapes, Hayes, and learn this fancy kind of hard to grab major scale pattern? Well, for example, like one of the caged patterns that I know really well is this. A lot of us probably know that G major scale pattern, right? It's really hard to play triplets and fast licks on that because we're doing 2 notes per string, then 3, then 3, then 3, then 2, and 2 more. So trying to play triplet runs across that requires a lot of like calculations and what do I want to say, retooling of the angles of the right hand. This major scale pattern, on the other hand, we can kind of, for certain triplet licks, leave our right hand in the same position and then just effortlessly flow through this pattern. One of my favorite licks that I've learned from some metal guitar players out there on YouTube is using this exact scale pattern. So we're kind of like doubling the notes that we play on each string, but check this out. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, then double that string. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And check this out at faster tempos. So with that 3-finger to a string kind of scale approach, that lick flows out a lot more effortlessly than it would in some of those uneven caged patterns. Okay, my friend, thanks so much for tuning into this video. I hope that you get a lot of mileage out of this major scale pattern. I know that it really helped me find some of those licks that I couldn't find in those caged shapes that I was just talking about. So hopefully it can do the same for you. If you have any questions or anything like that, drop us a comment below. I'd really love to know what you think about this 3-finger to a string scale pattern. It's one that I kind of don't use maybe as much as my caged shapes, but it definitely has its place in my arsenal. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on that as well. All right, thank you so much, my friend. Really appreciate you tuning into this video. We'll catch you in the next one.